What's up everybody and welcome to today's video. In today's video we're going to take a look at NeuralDSP's newest outlet, the ARCHETYPE John Petrucci. Let's roll that full mix. What's up everybody, welcome again to today's video. Glad that you're tuning in. Hope you're having an amazing day just like I had. So in today's video we're going to take a look at the NeuralDSP ARCHETYPE Petrucci, which they released yesterday. I'm super excited about this plugin. I wanted to immediately share something with you, so I just went ahead, wrote that original piece of music which you just heard before, and now we're here to take a look at the plugin itself. John Petrucci, I don't think he needs any kind of introduction. Guitarist of Dream Theater, absolute guitar nerd, legend when it comes to shredding. What else can you say? Actually nothing. So let's dive directly into the plugin itself because we have a lot to cover and it's anyways going to be a very long video. The ARCHETYPE Petrucci comes with a lot of new features, which are a premiere to NeuralDSP plugins. Yeah, let's first start with the main menu overview, or let's take a look at the main menu structure and talk about a few features without listening to stuff. And then in the aftermath, we're going to tweak around and we're going to play around and get familiar with the sound of the plugin. So at first glance, everything looks fairly similar if you have dealt with NeuralDSP plugins before. This is what it looks like straight out of the box. So what we got over here is the input and the output. We know that already. The preset menu, and we have the gate. What is a new feature is the transpose feature, and that we will check out later. It basically pitch shifts your guitar to the semitones you have set. So basically you could take your, for example, I have this EB standard tuned guitar and I could go to D standard just by setting the transpose to -1 and then we already would be there. Also new, we got the doubler section, which is supposed to give a little bit more of a stereo depth, a little bit more fatness to it, you know, kind of like if you're doubling the tracks, you can set this feature on, off, and you can set the spread to a certain amount of milliseconds so that you have a little bit of variability when it comes to how massive the doubling effect kind of sounds. Over here, we got the 4 different amps. So we got full 4 different amps. We got a piezo acoustic type amp. We got a clean amp. Then we have a rhythm high gain amp, and we got a lead high gain amp. Rhythm is a little bit drier than the lead. The lead is a little bit more saturated, gives a little bit more of that endless sustain thing. We also have more signal or effects blocks over here than on our usual NeuralDSP plugins. So starting here, we got the wah pedal and the compressor, but I'm barely using that one because the clean already has a very nice fat compressed sound to it. Over here we got the overdrive section. No, sorry, not the overdrive. The effect pedal section consisting of the overdrive, phaser, chorus, flanger. I would assume that the overdrive is kind of like a tube screamer. Haven't played too much around with it yet because the amplifiers already come with a very nice tight gain sound. However, I played around with the phaser, chorus, and flanger, and they really sound kick-ass. I assume that they kind of are emulating the TC Electronic custom pedal from John Petrucci, but that's just me. That's just me thinking a little bit along. So here we got the amps. All of the amps, as you can see, they have this cool futuristic look. I have already read a little bit of criticism because people are being put off a little bit by this design. I really like it. I really like it. It looks like, like from outer space. And that's exactly the theme, the overall theme, like warp, time machine, science fiction, that kind of stuff. I really dig it. I really like it. Moving onward, let's go over here to the clean amps. You can see on the piezo, you don't have all the stuff going on like you have over here. Then we have the cab section. And the cab section also comes with a new feature, which are room mics, which is really cool when you want to get a little bit of a fatter tone, especially when you're playing for yourself. That's very helpful to just give a little bit of more of that chunk and that, because the direct impulse responses, which you have over here, so the direct cab microphone settings, they sound a little bit harsh sometimes because it's like holding your ear against a speaker. Sometimes not so desirable. In a mix it fits very well, but not for just chugging along. So that's very cool that we have that over there, that possibility we can turn them on or off. And we here got the parametric EQ, other than the fader EQ like we have on other plugins. Then we got the volume pedal, and in the end we have the post amp effects over here, which finally also include a chorus. It's super important that you have a chorus in the post amp effects because chorus behaves massively different behind the amp than it does in front of the amp. Hopefully we'll get to explore this. The video is anyways going to be very long, I have the feeling, because there's a lot to cover. Let's get straight into it. These are the default settings. Let me go back to the default settings. So we got our lead amp over here. This is what it sounds like straight out of the box. So you already got this nice lush lead tone with full of delay, you know, like it's super saturated. It has like a long sustain. It just fills out the room. Let me try to demonstrate how good the sustain works, because occasionally I was able to get a very nice natural feedback from my speakers, something which I was dearly missing with a lot of amp sims so far. Basically all of them, they kind of lack this, even at moderate volumes, to create that feedback. But this one, as you heard on the end of the full mix, actually brings that with, and I really enjoyed that. Let's try it out. So there you already get kind of the impression what I mean with this oversaturated, nice, chunky lead tone. Yeah, really cool. What else do we have over here on those leads? Since we're directly on the lead amp, let's just go with that amplifier. Let's try to explore a little bit of the different possibilities with this one. So we got our usual equalizing setup, and we got the soar knob. I have to admit, I haven't played too much around with the plugin. The full mix was basically just slapping something in quickly, making the original piece of music, because I wanted to get this review as quick as possible out to you guys, so you can judge for yourself if you want to get this amp plugin suite or not. So let's explore together what's going on. So the gain, let's roll that back. So, judging by what I hear so far, what I really enjoy is that the equalizers are not like super harsh. They're choosing the right frequency and the right spectrum to kind of, moderate and shape the sound in the perspective of having a lead, like a lead sound going on. I like that very much. I think that sometimes when you just have an amp and you're just using the high gain channel to use for a lead tone, then treble and presence are a little bit too nitpicky in that respect, and this doesn't have that at all. Really cool. I really like that. Let's just go from back to front, actually, or from last to first, and go directly into the high gain, because that's what I'm all about on this channel. What I want to do, however, is I want to take out the delay, because we're now going for rhythm tones. So you definitely can get cool stuff right out of the box. Let's try to play a little bit around. So what I feel is that it has a little bit of that, I would say, mesa mud, Let's hear that again. It has a little bit of that mushiness. So let's dive in the tight a little bit. Let's see how that sounds already. That's already better. So the tight knob definitely helps us over here, taking a little bit out of the bass, trying to get a little bit of the mids, a little bit treble maybe. Okay, already better. Now what I saw with Ola's video is that the bite knob also gives a little bit more of that spankiness. That was maybe a little bit too much. So let's dial the gain back, the tightness also. Maybe roll back the treble to how it was in the beginning. And let's listen again. Unfortunately, you're hearing sometimes a little bit of a ringing. That's the guitar, unfortunately. You know, it's just what it is. The springs and the strings over here, they're vibrating, even though I try to clamp them a little bit. I just have to get something which kind of clamps that down a little bit. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, but let's dive a little bit more bass in. Let's give a little bit more gain. Let's give that a little bit more gain. Okay, now let's try to play around with the doubler and also deactivate that so that we explore that feature. So as said before, the doubler is supposed to give you the impression that you're double tracking your guitars, giving that a little bit, you know, that I wouldn't say tightness, actually the opposite when you double track, but it gives that width, you know, that feeling that you have a wall of, you know, a wall of sound behind you. So let's turn off the doubler first. So, I have to admit, I am deaf on my left ear. So, this kind of stereo trickery I can barely perceive. I don't know how it sounds on your end. If that does a big difference, for me, it only adds a little bit untightness. You know, it does not really much for the tone itself. Let's exaggerate this by pushing the spread way higher, so just that we get that very exaggerated doubling effect. First turned off. So I can hear a little bit what the doubler is supposed to do, but I assume that it's not that strong for me, since I only hear basically mono. So I'm basically just hearing another signal which is distracting from the original signal. So I personally am more of a fan of turning it off. That's why I will leave it off for the time being. And I will readjust the gate a little bit so that it just clamps a little bit down of the noise. Okay, everybody, I have to re-record one segment of the video, and that is me reviewing the transpose feature. Reason for that is, since I am one side deaf, as I explained before, I cannot recognize, or I cannot source where the signal is coming from, where audio signals are coming from. So I was playing around with the transpose feature. I was very impressed at first, but then I was playing some leads over there, and I was hearing the original sound passing through together with the transpose sound. And I thought this was coming from the plugin, but in fact, the original sound is coming from the strings, but the transpose sound coming from the speaker, and I mistaken that for both coming out of the speaker. So the transpose function functions absolutely perfectly. I'm re-recording the segment because I don't know if I will kind of refer to that issue at a later point in time. I cannot remember anymore. Yeah, but just in case I do, ignore that stuff. It's working perfectly fine. The transpose feature is basically a pitch shifter, which allows you to change the tuning of your guitar, you know, like in a in a barré fashion. So basically, you're just tuning it a certain amount of semitones up or down. So let's imagine I got this guitar in EB standard and I want to play something which is recorded on cis. Then I just go down 2 semitones and I can play this. I will turn off the doubler for the same effect I explained before. Not so keen on this because I really cannot hear anything audible anyways out of the doubler effect. It doesn't really add any latency to it, which is really cool. It takes a little bit of the brilliance out of it. Maybe you would have to readjust a little bit presence and a little bit treble. I'm adding the bite now just to give me a little bit of that, you know, that twang. Putting a little bit more on the tightness, and let's go again for it. Let's go to the very extreme. Let's down tune so that I have standard B. Now let's turn around the table and let's go up the scale. I'm going now just on standard E so that I can play a little bit maiden. And by the way, using the chorus and the delay and maybe a little bit of reverb, we can get something very cool somewhere in time-ish. Of course, that is something where you would have to work now and sculpt the tone, give more mids, take a little bit of treble away, and so on and so forth. But just to give you an idea on the flexibility of this plugin over here. Okay, let's go to the very extreme on the highs, and let's go to basically an A. So. So there you have it. Let's go down very low, and again we're gonna do some lead. Okay, that's a transpose function. I will now make a harsh cut in the video again, and we're gonna proceed somewhere in the midst of. Sorry for this interruption, guys, but I find it very important that I don't give out any wrong information out there. Back to the original video recording. Okay, but let's move on. It's still a good feature, but NeuralDSP, if anybody, let's say, of relevance is watching this video, then please do us a favor. Try to get the mix of the original signal completely out of the chain so that we only hear the, so that we only hear the original, the transposed signal. So that said, let's go ahead and try a little bit out in regards of pedals. We got a phase over here. Oh, hang on. like a very strong, chewy phaser sound. Same with the chorus, very, very strong. That's a little bit exaggerated there. But anyways, these effects, because they are in front of the high gain amp, they are not benefiting as much as they would if they were in the effects loop, which will become hopefully apparent when we're now checking the chorus in a few seconds. But first, the flanger. Classic flanger sound over there. Good, let's go to the overdrive. I will put the drive basically on 0, level on full, tone I'm gonna leave there, and I'm trying to go for kind of a booster sound. So let's first dial back the gain of the amp. Turning the booster off. So also there you can get that kind of thrashy chunkiness to it. No problem with that. What else do we got? We got the room mics. Let's test them out in this context over here. So I'm just gonna add them both, and I'm gonna add them like quite massively into the mix, just to see what it's all or hear what it's all about. Oh, that's a little bit loud. Let's push that a little bit back. Let's just try it on one single mic so we can differentiate better what's the room part. So here we only got the left side. Let's move to the other side. So, what's a little bit, what wonders me a little bit, but it's not necessarily a bad thing, is that we don't have any 5150. But I'm so used to the 5150 that catch me a little bit off guard over there. But let's go back and have the original two microphones in, which are in there by default. So there we have it. Okay, let's move over to the clean amp and to the piezo amp, because I already see that the video is exceeding the 30-minute mark already. So sorry guys that this is taking so long. Yeah, let's directly dive into the clean sounds. I'm gonna take away the overdrive. Oh, wait a minute. Before we move back, let me move back over here. Let me reactivate the overdrive. I wanted to show you how much the chorus has of an effect when we set it behind the amplifier. Now, that's a massive difference over there, especially when it comes to lead or something. The chorus behind the amp is kind of cleaner, of course, because it's not being distorted, and it kind of wraps itself around the sound, while the chorus before the amp kind of is embedded into the sound and distorted. I don't like it that much, but I think it's a matter of personal preference. Let's go into the presets. I'm now trying to find some sort of clean tone. Let me see if I can find something. Clean Size Live from Kikuluero. Let's go for that one. Let's try it. What is also very cool about the reverb is that we have a shimmer. Let's try to get this working. So of course, John Petrucci knows his stuff. He wants to build those big sound landscapes, and of course the shimmer reverb is part of that when you're playing clean. So I think actually that this preset pretty much shows how awesome the clean amp can sound, and that it has this very nice compression already embedded into it, which basically leaves you out not needing the compressor. Oh, speaking about the devil here, it's turned on, but let's just turn it off. So there you get an impression of how it sounds on the clean channel. And last but not least, we got this PIEZO Amp thing. Yeah. So we're going to turn off of this over here, just so that we can hear what it sounds like. Not my type of stuff which I play, so I unfortunately absolutely suck. when it comes to clean tones. Yeah, but I think that this video kind of wraps it up together and gives a good impression with, of course, a focus on the high gain rhythm amp and the lead tones. Yeah, it's an awesome plugin. I highly recommend it for people who are, you know, like very versatile in what they play, what sounds they want to achieve, and so on and so forth. If you are looking for like a chunky, brutal metal monster, I personally would say there are better options out there in regards of the pure high gain tone. But I also think that this amp is still quite shapeable. But in the end, it's a signature plugin amp. So you are going to get into the realm of John Petrucci's sound. If you don't like that sound at all, if you don't like that mesa mushiness, which sometimes comes with it, maybe this is not for you. Maybe the Gojira is more something for you, or the NTS Kali. Oh, sorry, what am I talking about? The NTS or the Kali. Yeah, but for all its features, is it worth the money? 150 euros, I think, is the price. Hell yes. Hell yes. It's better than, you know, like any amplifier you could buy for that price or any kind of hardware derivative. It just sounds awesome. It has a lot of features. It has a lot of new features. So it shows that NeuralDSP is trying to push the boundaries and trying to get to new frontiers. They're trying to get more artists on board, which of course gives them more reputation, more resources, you know, like that whole jazz. Very cool to see that somebody like John Petrucci is working together with NeuralDSP, hopping onto plugins, and yeah, that shows again that this is basically the future of guitar playing over here, you know, for at least to a certain degree. Yeah, that's basically my take on this one. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you could learn something out of it. If you want to support the channel, or if you enjoyed this video, then I would highly appreciate any kind of like, comment, subscribing, sharing. If you really want to support my channel and you want to get something cool for yourself, then think about purchasing some Celestion IRs through the affiliate link in the description below. I already was able to buy a plugin, which I have a video out coming up for, and yeah, everything which is being generated revenue-wise out of that will, of course, go into the channel just to get cool other stuff and show you guys. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something out of it. And I hope that I'll see you soon in the next video. Thanks and bye.